Okay, so we're going to start off seated, and please let me know, like, if you can't hear me, as soon as you can, you let me know, okay? But just know that you're muted, so you'll have to unmute yourselves. So I'm going to start off sitting on a pillow. You sit whatever is the most comfortable for you position. And then when you get there, we'll start by clearing the air around us. So you'll bring your hands together in front of your chest. Take an inhale and press your hands up the midline towards the ceiling. You'll breathe out of the mouth, flex at your wrists, and push the air away from you out to the sides. Okay, so we'll do that about 8 times. Breathing in, lift the arms up. Out of the mouth, exhale, clear the air around you. Good. You'll breathe in, send the arms up. Exhale, out of the mouth, open the arms. Good. You continue like that about 4 more times. Maybe you close your eyes. And we'll all be at a slightly different pace. Don't worry if you're not exactly in sync with me. Take about 2 or 3 more and see if you can make your exhale last a little longer. When you finish this next exhale, you'll just rest your hands on your legs and pause there. Relax your eyes, relax your jaw, and then take a breath in and up your spine. Imagine your arms are moving up and how that would lengthen your spine, but don't actually do it. And then when you breathe out, try not to collapse in your chest. Stay really tall. Just 2 more breaths settling in here, getting taller on the inhale, and even taller as you breathe out. 1 more. Soften your tongue as you breathe in. And a calm exhale. Okay, and then without looking at your hands, join them together in front of your chest and place them together very precisely. So all of your fingertips connect cleanly, your palms connect cleanly with a little bit of space between the very center of the palms. And then let your elbows drip down to the floor. It's like you have little weights connected to your elbows. As your elbows are sort of heavying towards the floor, can you get a little lighter in the heart organ? Can you get a little lighter in the sides of your neck? Imagine the head filled with helium. And then you'll pause here, another breath, even calmer through the face. And let's begin with an Om. You can either listen or join in. Take a breath in. To breathe in, same arm gesture we did before. You'll lift the arms overhead and a big exhale, flexing at your wrists as you open your arms wide to the sides. Okay, and then you'll eventually flutter your eyes open if they're closed. And we're going to meet in a stag seat. So we'll start off, I'm going to try to mirror you. It's been a challenge for me, this online yoga thing. So your left leg is going to be at about a 90-degree angle in front of you. You could sit up on a blanket or on a pillow underneath your left seat, which I'm showing. And then your right leg is reaching right out to your right and angled back. Both of your knees at about a 90-degree angle. If that's uncomfortable, you bring the feet in a little closer. Okay, and then your arms are just sort of dripping down by your sides. When you breathe in, you're going to turn the eye of your heart to your left, and your right buttock is going to come off of the floor maybe a little bit. And then when you breathe out, lead with your right buttock like it's magnetized to the floor and come back to look straight forward, okay? So it's a little spiral. The breath in, you're spiraling to your left. The breath out, the right buttock pulls you down as you spiral a little bit towards your right. So we'll do that about 5 times. Breathing in, turning left. Breathing out, you might feel your arms start to move a little bit bigger. It always feels nice for me to have kind of slow motion helicopter arms here. But you can just leave your arms really still by your sides if you'd like. Good, and then taking just about 2 or 3 more, feel the movement in your pelvis. Feel the movement in the thigh bones where they enter the hips. And then this beautiful spiral up the spine to the crown of the head. We'll take 1 more, turning over to your left. And then you'll pause. Your right hand can come to your left knee. And then your left fingertips can kind of prop you up outside of the hip. And then just stay tall for a moment and see if you can spiral a little bit more, almost turning all the way behind you. So the eye of the heart starts to turn all the way towards your left. Let the neck continue that spiral line. Maybe your chin turns over your left shoulder. And then can you close your eyes here for a moment and visualize a spiral from your inner right knee, spiraling like a spiral staircase up through the spine, up and around to the crown of the head. Okay, and then you'll come back and look back center. So your hips are square, you're looking toward your camera probably. And then we'll side bend. Plant your left fingertips over to your left as far as is comfortable for you. The right arm will come overhead. You could also kind of just drape it over the skull. If you want it a little more active, you'll reach through the long line of your right arm. And then maybe some of you will feel comfortable coming down to the left elbow. Otherwise, you stay on the fingertips. Good. And then we'll pause here. Try not to feel frozen. You can have little kind of pulses moving out through the arm. Or you might choose to stay really still, but feel the billowing of the breath into the sails of your lungs. Good, I can see you all, I love it. Take 1 more breath and maybe get a little longer through your right waistline. Okay, and then you'll turn towards the floor so that both fingertips come to the floor outside of your left thigh, and you'll be in a kind of little turn towards the floor. You can stay on the fingertips once again or come down onto your elbows. Maybe just your left elbow comes down and the right arm stays long. There's no right or wrong way to do this. You can kind of experiment. But still here I'm thinking of a spiral from my inner right knee all the way around to my throat and up through the crown of my head. Taking a couple more breaths, experiment with dragging your hands and or elbows back towards your left leg. What does that do in your trunk? Maybe it feels a little more like a back bend. Or you can push the hands and elbows away from you. That might invite more of a forward fold or a softening through the spine. 1 more breath. Wherever you are, really let your head hang for this last breath, letting go of the muscles of the front of your throat, front of your neck. Okay, and then you'll gradually make your way back upright to sit. Okay. So you could keep the pillow underneath you or move it out to the side if you have it. You're just going to move your knees side to side before we take the second side. So I have to lean quite far back to plant my hands down. Keep your knees wide. So I'm going to turn so you can see me, but you can stay as you are. So they're still in the stag position as you turn side to side. So trying to have your legs truly at a 90-degree angle, unless that's too much in the hips, then you narrow them in a little bit. And then maybe closing the eyes. Just for me, I love to just observe sort of the, I'll say, beauty or poetry of this spiraling movement in the legs. So as one leg externally rotates, the other comes in and then internally rotates. There's so much sort of movement potential of your thigh bones in the way they enter through your hip sockets, the bowls of the hips. Good. You'll take just a couple more. If there's one side you want to linger on, you stay there for a moment. And then we will eventually meet so that we're on the other side. So your right knee is at a 90-degree angle, kind of reaching out in front of you so that you can see if you need to. And then maybe you sit up on a pillow underneath your right buttock. So if you were to look, if you had an aerial view, your legs would be in this stag shape, also known as a 90-90 position. 90-degree angles in the knees, maybe. Okay, and then we'll start with our really soft spirals. So we'll start off small and they might get bigger and bigger. So imagine a magnet drawing the eye of your heart over to your right. You go so much that your left buttock might come up off the floor. And then initiate this movement coming back by your left buttock dropping down to the floor. And then the belly turns and then the chest turns. Okay, so the heart leads the way as you turn to the right, and your left seat leads the way as you turn back forward. So you'll continue like this, and maybe the arms start to come into the equation like a loose helicopter propeller. And find your own rhythm of breath. It feels good to me to do an inhale as I turn to my right, and the exhale brings me back to the left. Great, you all look like beautiful swans. All right, so taking just a couple more, maybe the spiral action gets a little more pronounced. When you finish this last one, you'll be turning to your right. Your left hand can prop itself onto the right knee, and the right hand can prop you up outside of your right hip. And then think height here. So your spiral is tall. It starts off in your inner left knee, but then it drives upwards towards the ceiling as you spiral around to your right. And then maybe you turn and look over your right shoulder with the chin. I'm looking at you, but yes. Good. And you can use the pressure of your left hand maybe to help you revolve a little bit more. Good. Soften your gaze and take a couple more breaths here. Some of you might feel a stretch in the inner left groin. If you want to find that, you might reach the knee, the left knee, a little bit further away from you. Okay, and then you'll come back just part of the way, and then all the way to turn your chest forward. And you'll reach your right fingertips as far away from you as you're comfortable with. The left arm comes overhead, either really active through the arm or just let it kind of waterfall or drape over the skull. And then as you breathe here, play with maybe bringing the right elbow down and finding some spaciousness and awareness through your left waistline. Good, a couple more breaths. Maybe you still feel the pulsing of the breath, even if you're quite still in the rest of the body. Okay, you'll stay in the side bend, but turn towards the floor with your chest so the eye of the heart is looking down. Stay on your fingertips, or you lower down onto your elbows. And here you can play again with the tension in the hands. And by tension, I mean good tension. So you're either pushing the hands and elbows away from you or drawing them in towards you. You could do a little bit of both and see what the response is through the spine, through your breath. Relax your jaw, taking a couple more breaths. And then for the last breath or so, really let the head hang. What does it feel like to turn the switch to off in the muscles of the neck, the front of the neck, the front of the throat, leading to the tongue? Okay, and then you'll make your way back upright. Sit up tall. Okay, and then you can keep the pillow underneath you. You'll probably just need to adjust the seat so it's symmetrical on the pillow. And then again, keeping the legs in this 90-90 so your heels are quite far away from you. And it's like you're rolling on the balls of the heels. And some of you, especially since this is our second round doing it, you might be able to sit up a little bit taller. If you are leaning back, try not to hunch too much in the spine. A little bit of roundness is okay, but you're trying to go for a little bit more of a neutral spine as you go. And then breathing in your own pattern of breath, but just noticing it. I am inhaling and I am exhaling. Good, and taking a moment to appreciate just the miracle of the hips. How intricate the movement is. It can be quite big, it can be quite subtle. So the next time your knees go off to the right, that's your last one, and then you'll just come through the middle and move your pillow off to the side. Now, if you have sensitive knees, make sure your blanket is on your mat where your knees would go in a hands and knees position. And then we'll come onto hands and knees. You can move much slower than I am. I'm just getting to the position so you can see. Take your time. And there's no perfect way to get there. So you kind of just explore how your body decides to move to this position. And then once you're there, you'll wag your hips over to your right and then turn to look towards your outer right hip. So if I looked at you from above, it would be, your spine would be in a C curve. Okay, and you'll do the same the other side. Sway your hips way over to the left and turn and look over your left shoulder towards your left outer hip. And then you'll continue to go side to side like that. At any point, I know some of you have told me you have wrist stuff. You can always come down onto your elbows. We won't be doing any down dog or anything like that. This will be the most weight bearing we'll do on the hands. So as you sway side to side, can you find the movement in the neck coming from a place of softness rather than tension? So you might imagine your head as sort of like a puppet, and there's an external force just gently drawing your head like puppet strings from side to side, and you just get to go along for the ride. Good. A couple more. Maybe you close the eyes if that's interesting to you. The next time you go off to the left will be your last one. And then come to a neutral position in the spine. You'll begin to draw your seat back towards your heels, but don't do it yet. Imagine your sit bones have, let's say, antenna. And the antennae of the sit bones are seeking your heels. So let their sensors sort of reach back in space and try to find the heels of each feet. And if this is too much in your knees, you put a pillow there. right on top of your seat, on top of your heels, but you're still trying to find your heels with the eyes of the sit bones. And then when they connect, it's, for me, sort of a very satisfying moment. It's like a baseball fitting in a baseball glove. There's just a connection there that feels quite natural, even if there's a pillow or padding in between. And then once your sit bones have hit the heels, if you haven't done so already, lower your forehead either all the way down to the floor, or you put your forehead on blocks or on another pillow. And then this position I don't think of as a gentle position necessarily for many people. If this does not feel right to you, you come back to hands and knees, or you could sit upright on your heels. And then take just about 2 more breaths. Allow your belly to soften as you inhale. And when you exhale, the belly stays soft, but it naturally draws up towards your spine. Maybe you feel it just naturally happen. Don't force it. Do one more like that. Breathing in, let the belly balloon down towards the floor, out to your thighs. And then you'll exhale and see if you can watch the navel draw up towards the spine. Okay, now try to remain empty of breath. Wherever you're coming from, meet us back on a hands and knees position, or elbows and knees if you have wrists up. And then I'd like you to imagine your spine is like a jump rope. So you're going to round your spine like a cat, chin to chest, and just like a jump rope, circle it around to the right. Sometimes we call this a barrel. And then down to the floor, so it's going to feel like cow spine. Over to your left, bowing your left ribs out to the left, and then rounding back up towards the ceiling like cat. Okay? So I'm going to do it kind of facing the camera if you need, but I think you're all kind of getting the idea. So you don't have to go as fast as a jump rope would go, but in that same gesture, that same trajectory. And you'll choose just one side to do right now. It's just a couple of breaths. Lubricating the synovial joints in the vertebra. Okay, once you get to the bottom of your jump rope swing, you're going to start going in the opposite directions. The next time you hit bottom, you go around. Other way. And you could go quite slow. See if you can explore some maybe shadowy parts in the lungs and in the back that we don't ordinarily get to. This is not a movement we do often. Your head is part of the equation as much as you want it to be. You could just let it hang and kind of do nothing. Or you could circle it around if you want it to be a little more active. Good. Taking just about 3 more going in this direction. And be as fluid as you can. Truly imagine your spine as sort of rope-like, I'll say watery. And when you finish this last one, belly down towards the floor at the bottom, then you'll come to a neutral spine. Okay, so come high onto your fingertips. If you have blocks, I'm not showing with blocks because I think a lot of people don't have them. If you have blocks, you put your hands on blocks. Okay, and then draw your right knee towards your right elbow. Step the foot first towards your outer right hand, and then you'll just shift the foot into the midline a little bit. So if you have a block there, you will have to negotiate a little bit more. It might be easier without the block, actually. And you'll bring your right hand on top of your right thigh, left hand on top of that, so the palms are facing down onto the thigh. Push your hands down into the thigh. Maybe your elbows straighten to lift your chest up. Good. And then you'll just exhale and like a waterfall, pour back forward over the leg. Maybe your chin comes somewhere near the knee. And then you'll breathe in, push through your hands, straighten the elbows, tilt the heart upwards like a little back bend. And then again, like water, pour forward over the leg, bow your head. Last one like this. Breathe in, push through your hands, lift the chest up. Okay, stay up, and then you'll press your palms together at the heart. Feel your feet on the mat. So you can choose to tuck your back toes under or not, but can you feel the temperature of the mat beneath your feet? Can you spread your toes even if they don't listen? Tell them to. And when you breathe in, press your palms together quite firmly as you lift the arms up and overhead, and then you'll clear the air outside of you, flexing at the wrists, open the arms to the sides. We'll do that twice more. Breathing in, send the palms up the midline, and exhale, open the arms wide. You have one more like that. Breathing in and up, and exhale, wide open arms. Keep your wrists flexed if possible, and you'll turn toward your right. Okay, you could stay like this, or you take your left hand and cross it outside your right knee. So make sure you're turning toward your front leg. So turn to your right if you're not, yes, there you go. Good, and then still flex at your right wrist and push like an imaginary wall away from you with the right hand. And then find the spiral here like we did earlier. From your inner left knee, can you see a spiral around to your outer right hip and around the back to your left shoulder and all the way up and around to your right ear? You have one more breath. Elongate the spine on your inhale. And exhale, maybe the eye of the heart turns a little bit more without forcing. Okay, release your hands down. You'll frame your right foot and then tuck your back toes under. We'll straighten through both legs, but you're going to turn all 10 toes to your left. So you'll be in Prasarita Padottanasana. I'm just turning towards you so I can see you. So the wide legs, and let your head release towards the floor. And then maybe you even feel your upper palate, so the top dome of your mouth. Maybe you even feel that descending or yielding down with gravity. And then those of you who are really open in the hamstrings, Hallie, I see you. Like if your head comes all the way to the floor, or even your hands easily to the floor, find a little bit more integration in the backs of the legs. So draw your sit bones, your right sit bone towards your second toe mound. It might feel like you're pushing your right foot away from you a little bit. And then left sit bone towards left second toe mound. And if that is too obscure for you to feel, don't worry about it, but think it for a moment. Okay, you'll take one more breath like that. And then you'll turn back towards your right foot. So all 10 toes turn towards the front edge of your mat. Your fingertips come down to frame your right foot. And then you'll gently lower your left knee down. And take your time. We always just bypass this transition like it's nothing, but it's a big transition to bring your right leg back in line with your left. I'm not going to instruct it, but just see how you problem solve and get your right knee back in the gentlest way you can. Great. And then you'll lower your palms down if they're not already. Come to a cow spine. So you'll breathe in, tilt the heart up, the tailbone up. And then you'll exhale round into cat, chin towards your chest. Seek with the eyes of your sit bones, the heels of the feet, child's pose. It's just a quick visit. And then you'll breathe in and come right back forward to hands and knees, all fours. We'll do that once more. On your inhale, cow spine, tilt the heart and the tailbone upwards. You exhale, round your spine, push the floor away. And then the sit bones like magnets to the heels. Find that as you release to child's pose, just a moment. And then right back forward. Your hands energetically pull towards your knees as you come back to hands and knees, all fours. Okay, and you'll come high up on your fingertips. Left knee towards your left elbow. And then step the foot maybe towards the pinky side of the hand first, and then you'll heel toe it into the midline. Again, another transition that we always just blow right through, but if that's challenging for you, it is for most people. You'll bring your left hand on top of the left thigh, palm down, and then right hand on top of that, and let the head just sort of bow. It's like you're resting here for a moment. Even the jaw gets a moment to slacken. Then when you breathe in, push down through your hands onto the thighs, straighten the elbows, and tilt the heart organ up any amount. And then the waterfall, as you exhale, pour yourself back forward over the leg, even let the chin bow. Do that twice more, breathing in, rope-like or snake-like in the spine. And exhale, bow your way forward. Last one coming up, breathe in and we'll stay. Lift the sternum. And to me, it feels really nice in the thigh and the hip to press my thigh bone away. We call that differentiation of thigh bone to hip. Okay, and then you can look straight forward, press your palms together, clear the air, breathe in, lift the arms up. Exhale, flex at the wrists, open the arms wide. Inhale, arms go up the midline. Out of the mouth, exhale. Last time, breathing in, a little taller. Exhale, flex at the wrists, open wide. Keep your arms like this, and then you'll twist towards the leg that's in front of you, so twisting to your left. Stay like this with the arms. I find that a little more active. If you want it a little softer, the right hand, the back of the right hand will press into your outer left knee. And then press the knee to the hand, hand to the knee if you have it there, and you'll revolve. Good, and can you think of this less as a twist? For some reason, I like the word spiral more. Visualize from your inner right knee, that's your back knee, spiraling around to the outer left hip and around your outer right shoulder up to your left ear. Almost like a ribbon sort of wrapped around you. You have one more breath. Okay, and then you'll unravel, look forward, take your time, lower through your fingertips. Tuck your back toes under, you'll straighten the legs, turn all 10 toes to your right, and you'll be in our wide-legged forward fold. Good. This time, you could stay in the same position you did last time. Otherwise, maybe you grab opposite elbows, or you could interlace the hands behind your back. Observe for yourself if you're moving your arms. I'll tell you when to switch when we're halfway through. But as you lift the, let's say the support of the hands off of the floor, it requires you to use your legs a little more. Good. If you have an asymmetrical shape in the arms, just switch. Good, and can you pour a little more weight forward into the balls of the feet? Sue Sargent, Hallie, just a little bit more forward. And nice, and then you take about 2 more breaths and see if you can soften the jaw, slacken the upper palate of the mouth. Okay, you'll release your hands down at the bottom of your next exhale. No rush at all. Walk your hands toward your left foot. All 10 toes point to the front edge of your mat. Lower your back knee down onto your padding. And then problem solve your way back. The left knee comes back in line with the right. You'll lower the palms down. When you inhale, cow spine without the belly collapsing. There's still a little drawing of the belly towards the spine. When you exhale, you'll round your way into cat. Sit bones towards your heels like magnets into child's pose, a quick visit. And then you'll inhale your way back forward to hands and knees. Last time like this, breathing in when you're ready. This is cow spine. And exhale to round into cat, dome the back. Antenna of your seat, find your heels, child's pose, pause. And then hover your way back to hands and knees, breathing in. And you'll pause here for your exhale. Okay. So we're going to do just a little bit standing. And to come up to stand, I'd like us to explore spiraling up to stand. So this is part of our spiral line. You'll sit so that one shin is crossed in front of the other, but not like Sukhasana with the knees down. Your feet will be flat on the mat. And it's kind of awkward to sit like this. And just watch me for a moment. So let's all have the left shin forward. So left shin in front of the right. So you're going to spiral to your right. So I'm turning to my right. I'm planting my hands down, spiraling my feet coming up to stand. Okay, so we'll do it all together. Eventually, maybe you do this without hands. So we're going to spiral to the right. And you'll come up to stand. And then just reverse your steps and come right back down. Same direction. Okay, try that once more. Spiral to the right. And you'll spiral your way down. So this is homework I give to all of my privates. Because as we get older, we lose the ability to get up and down from the floor. And if you stop doing it at any point, it's just not going to be in your movement vocabulary to do. So that's your homework and your parents' homework and your friends' homework, to do this 3 times a day, spiraling in both directions. Get up and get down, get up and get down. Okay, so we have to do the other side. Right shin in front. You're going to turn to your left, use your hands to help you, and come up to stand. Good, and then you'll turn right back in that same pathway to come back to sit. Right shin should still be forward. You got it. So we'll do it twice more. To stand. Good. And you can use a little bit of momentum, but really think of it as a spiral for yourself, rather than I'm going straight up and straight down. Okay, we have to come back to sit. Now, get up off the floor any way you want. Try not to use your hands, okay? So it might be through a chair pose, it might be through hands and knees, any way you'd like. And then we'll just do a little thing standing here. So your feet, let's have them wider than your hips, but not too wide, okay? So you'll take your hands together at the chest, same arm movement we've been doing. Inhale, lift your arms up high. You'll exhale, flex at the wrists and bend your knees and try to track the knees straight forward. Okay, we're going to do this 9 more times. It'll be 10 altogether. Inhale, lift the arms. And exhale, flex at the wrists, bend your knees. Good. Inhale. Exhale. And then if you want to sort of test your balance a little bit, you close your eyes. We have about 5 or 6 more. Can you hear your breath? Much like you would if you put your ear up to a seashell, what would that sound like? Sort of the breath coming in and out, but almost like it's in a vacuum in your inner landscape, your trunk, between your ears. About 2 more. When you finish your next exhale, Lower your arms by your sides. Then very slowly heel toe your feet in together. No rush. But I'd like you to find the internal rotation of the legs. So the heels go out, your inner thighs spin back. And then do the opposite. Spiraling the inner thighs forward, the toes go out. And this is just to narrow your feet. Okay, so now my toes go in, my inner thighs spiral. This is internal rotation of my legs. And then external rotation, the heels come in, toes go out. You probably have just one or so more. Bringing the feet right underneath you. Okay, and then a balance of your choice before we come down onto the floor. So I'll give you a couple of options. It could be tree pose. It could be a version of Uttita Hasta Padangusthasana, so maybe the knee bent. If you want to do it straight, you do it straight. I'm not going to show that way. If you need a wall, you come over to a wall or you use your chair. Okay, so let's all start off with the foot you want to start off with. And then whatever shape you found, if you're feeling, let's say, stable in this balance, try closing your eyes and see what just that simple thing does to the brain, to the nervous system. And something I've been reading about the idea of stability or of balance is not that you find this perfect place where you don't fall. Stability and balance are said to be what happens after there's been a perturbance. So after you've been knocked off of your stable place or of your balance, you've been able to come back to it. And then you get perturbed again and then you come back to it. So it's much more dynamic than a static, oh, I have a perfect balance. And maybe you just have 2 more breaths or so here to observe yourself coming back to a place of balance after some perturbances. I know you have all found the metaphor for life in that. Okay, so at the bottom of this next exhale or so, see if you can very slowly come out of it. And then pause in the middle in your mountain pose, just both legs underneath you, as neutral as you can be, samastatihi. And then your body, your mind, your spirit will know when to do the next side. So listening for your own cues, and you'll eventually switch to the second leg. If you did so on the first side, explore closing the eyes. Maybe it's just for a moment or two. Embrace the perturbances. I have a lot in my ankle. Just notice where they are, and it can be an inquiry or an experiment with coming back to a place of stability each time you notice a perturbance, disruption. A couple more breaths. And then using your own sort of inner awareness, when you feel mostly even with what you did on the first side, you'll very gradually make your way out of the balance. Both legs underneath you like pillars supporting you. And then for me, I feel from my waistline up almost like a cloud resting on the mountain of my legs. Very stable and earthy. And just a couple more breaths, pulsing through the body, ebbing and flowing. And again, taking the cue from your own inner awareness, we will make our way back down onto the mat. Try not to use your hands. You could come down in our little spiral. You could come down one knee at a time. Try something you're not used to if you feel comfortable with that. And then once you're seated, we'll do just a little thing with the neck. So again, you'll either sit up on a pillow or whatever is most comfortable for you in the legs. If you're sitting in Sukhasana, sit with the opposite leg in front from what you ordinarily do. And again, imagining you're a puppet with your elbows bent, and the strings tied to your inner elbows are what lift your arms up in front of you. Just taking your time and external force lifting your elbows up kindly. Good. Once your elbows are up, have your palms face one another. Okay. So when you breathe in, you'll open the elbows out wide and lift the chest up a bit, but not by popping your ribs forward. You imagine a string tied to the heart that's lifting it up. When you exhale, you'll gently bow the head and draw the elbows together. We're just going to do that once more. Breathe in, magnets pull your elbows away from one another, and the heart goes upwards. And exhale, the heart sort of slides to the posterior body, the back body, as you round forward. Okay, come to a neutral spine. And just look forward. Elbows are sort of shoulder width distance apart. Okay, cross your right elbow on top of the left elbow. Keep your right arm stable. The right arm is like a pillar that doesn't move. Your left arm sort of snakes around it, left forearm, left wrist to come to your eagle wrap. And then if this feels like too much, you press the backs of the hands together instead, or give yourself a hug, okay? So you're going to lower, tilt your forearms to your left, and drop your right ear to your right shoulder. I'm going to mirror you. So forearms to the left, right ear to right shoulder. Good. And then like you're drawing little circles with your elbows, just draw like 3 tiny, tiny circles with your elbows, but keep your right ear over your right shoulder. Okay, and then you'll come back up to the midline with the arms. Draw your arms over to the left, and then look with the whole face to your, I'm going to try to mirror you again, arms to the left, face to your right. And then bow the chin towards the chest. So now you're looking with the whole face to your left, but the chin drops down rather than a tilt in the neck. And then can you draw your elbows a little bit further away? Okay, and then to come out of this, you'll just draw chin towards the chest and let your arms melt down. Maybe the backs of the hands now are resting on your legs. You could stay upright like this. This will be about 5 breaths, or you can fold forward. Maybe you put a block or a pillow underneath your head. If you want a hamstring stretch, you would straighten your top leg and it would be like Janu Shavasana. So I'm doing that here in case you want that. I'm back. Okay, I'll show it again. One leg forward. Good. Those of you who are forward folding, can you Feel the heft of your brain, the bulk of the brain, its fluidity and its depth yielding down with gravity, just as your bones would do. And maybe physiologically it's not happening, but can you imagine letting go so much in the tension of the brain that it slackens a little more towards the floor? Okay, and you'll make your way back upright to sit. Okay, and then you're going to cross the opposite shin in front. The puppet strings pull your elbows up in front of you. Just one time, this time the elbows go wide, the back of the heart slides up, the belly slides up. And then when you exhale, you round back forward. Maybe the elbows and forearms come to touch. Good, breathing in, come to neutral, look forward, elbows in line with the shoulders. This time you'll cross the left arm on top of the right. Now your left arm is stable like a pillar. Reach through the fingertips. Try not to move your left arm at all. Use your right arm, right wrist, right hand to snake around that anchor. Or you press the backs of the hands together, or you hug yourself. Okay, so now your forearms are going to angle to your right. And your left ear drops towards your left shoulder. This is just a couple breaths. And you can play with pressing firmly through the hands or doing so gently. Left ear dropping with gravity. One more breath. You'll come back up towards the midline. And now you'll pull your whole forearm elbow situation to your right. And you'll turn to look over your left shoulder and then drop your chin towards your chest. And again, you don't have to be frozen here. You can kind of play around. Let this be a place of inquiry. Can you move maybe a little more to the left, a little more to the right, until something feels interesting to you, a place where you want to land, which doesn't necessarily mean you're seeking sensation or overstretching anywhere. One more breath. You'll come back to the midline, bow your chin to your chest, let the elbows sort of sink, and then you'll unravel the arms. From here, forward folding, or just like this, or you straighten the other leg forward, so it would be more like Shavasana. And you're always welcome to stay upright. Just a couple more breaths. As we did earlier, imagine your sit bones are antennae, or they have eyes, and now they're seeking the floor beneath you. One more breath. And then you'll gradually make your way up to sit. If you have padding underneath you, just move it off to the side. And then you'll come down onto your backs. And once you're down on your back, draw your knees in towards you and feel sort of an upside down child's pose position in the legs, so the toes are close together, the knees could be quite wide depending on what feels best to you. And then just kind of wag your tail a little bit side to side. So for me, it feels like one side of the waist shortens and then the other side. And then you can start to circle the knees around in one direction. The slower you go, the more you'll feel a little massage in the back of the pelvis. And you'll eventually go in the opposite direction. Okay, and then you'll reach your legs up towards the ceiling. They don't have to be all the way straight. Open the arms out to the sides. And then you'll open your legs kind of in a split position. It'll be different for all of us. And then you'll just roll over to your right until your right leg comes down to the floor and your left leg will be reaching up. Your left seat will be off of the mat beneath you. And then you'll lower your left leg on top of your right. Try to make your left leg longer and longer and longer as you lower it down. You can stay with the legs straight or bend your knees. I like to bring my right hand to my outer left leg. And this will just be about 3 breaths. Slow inhale through what is now a spiraling spine. And a calm exhale. Inhale up and around again like that spiraling ribbon around the spine. And calmly breathe out. One more, breathing in. And exhale. Okay, if your legs are straight, it's going to be a little more challenging. If you're up for it, you can come back to the middle with the legs straight. Otherwise, you'll bend your knees. Push down through your left hand as you reach the legs back to the center, and then you'll extend the legs up any amount straight. Open them out to the sides, any amount. Roll over onto your left leg. Make your right leg reach up to the ceiling like someone's tugging on your right heel. And you'll make the leg longer and longer and longer as you lower it down onto the left leg. Stay here, bend the knees. Your left hand can come to the outer right leg. And then about 3 breaths, spiraling the breath around the body. And if you can hear my child crying, see if each time you hear a squeal, you can find a little compassion for, let's say, all children. At the bottom of this exhale, either with the legs straight or you bend your knees. Press to the back of your right hand. You'll come back through the center. And then we'll meet in Shavasana. So for me, the most important part of Shavasana is not the position your body is in. It's how you feel in your nervous system and your breath. So maybe traditionally it is just lying flat on the back, but that doesn't matter. If you are more comfortable sitting in a chair with your legs up or lying on your side, any props you want, do whatever is the most comfortable for you. And once you're there, can you plummet the tailbone down through the floor, the heel bones through the floor, the back of the skull through the floor. If you would like to stay a little bit longer in your Shavasana, you can just mute my voice or sign out of the meeting. Otherwise, begin to very gently deepen the breath. And if there are sounds in your own home or things, perturbances, maybe it's thoughts or worries, pulling you out of your inner life or your inner awareness, your balanced breath. Can you look at those perturbances as opportunities to come back to a sense of balance, a sense of equanimity? And then you'll choose your own way up to sit. If you love the side Shavasana, the fetal position, I love to stay there for, I'd stay there for an hour if someone would let me. Then go along that way. Otherwise, you can go right up through the center, and maybe you just stay on your back or stay on your side this whole time. And if you're coming up, sit again in the most comfortable position for yourself, crossing the opposite shin in front. And you'll eventually bring the hands together at the center of the chest. And we'll finish here with one Om. Take a breath in. Thank you so much, everybody.